rewind this for a little bit. So, I made a first concept generator scenario via the base model that's now available on Hyperbolic in a much more better method. It's weird. It's like I output, and then if I like the output, then I'll add it to the original thing, and then I'll add it's weird. But there's more bells and whistles. That's good. The temperature goes up to 2 now, which is great. It makes for gibberish. The gibberish I like. But I try to avoid the gibberish this time. You didn't see any of that. We're just gonna go through it right now. Oh shit. Mr. Limerick. Gotta bust you off. Where are ya? Where are ya? Not sheep who bites the crabs in half. There we go. There we go.
There once was a first contact generator, made for saying hi to aliens from now and later, be they from space to the sea, or differing copies of you and me. This will help us meet their daughters and date them, assuming a body of entities to witness this guided speculation, curiosity to enable bridging communication. Well, ain't that a recipe for interspecies salutation? Now on with this ball of shite, from our swamp and wretch to your blight. You might not have tongues or fingers or toes, but we'll employ both our minds to delight. The first contact generator yowls and whimpers and bataffles and finds a nice pairing solution. These eccentric beings describe thusly. You look upon an elegant pair, them, low and slender. You have chased soft-kempt shell with radiant wills to welcome the scent, and stretching apart slender joints in a shy swaying stance, the translucent crown adorned behind are 5 teeth in pristine posture held in a grin half-cupped for your attention. Beyond the shoulders, like a kind of lying in motion, an elegant frame casts wings in an uncoordinated rhythm of joy as it approaches to show an emotion. It appears 2 or 3 fingers, little mouths made silent by a crooked trunk just beneath the head, each more delicate than the other in size and symmetry. The partner holds its presence here, so dainty is it, its strange, vertical head sways almost as though a gentle spring, above 2 delicate, dainty, white prongs each in place of the eye stand as beautiful props which follow the line of mouth in the direction of you. In the neck region and also for breathing are 10 perfect places on a stout jointed limb, each to draw scent through, also perhaps to taste through small levers of mouth beneath the surface concealed, almost inconspicuous but ever present around 3 fingers like lips, so tiny, seeming of use to nothing except to test flavor in its continuous motion from spine to end. Beside, a single opening of sorts makes perfect for blowing from side to end, and in the tiny, toothy form beside the eye itself 2 small mouths sit beneath. These close together when reaching their limits, so hard to describe, but it has features quite plain. In this position it seems rather soft of breath, the chest, perhaps its end being, or when touched it makes sound of bell. Most likely it is its true self, below which the rest of the body begins, the tentacles emerging in 3s to tuck away with precision, the space likely having space inside. Within, the smooth trunks resemble appendages, each length with a single bend of slim limb that bends outward when forced from a grip held firm. In 1 or 2 clusters, the third at the end holds place by choice of branch of white. These seem set apart from the slender forms below in a range of size or arrangement for balance to have been at their best, or so it appears. Yet, in one respect, their outward, slender appearance seems odd and incongruous with its neighbor, but the limbs and tentacles that stretch toward are clearly intent upon making this clear. Behind each form, too, 3 branches of limb that are much like arms reach up from between the soft belly. These arms bent as much as each can allow, extending upward for a grip held firm. Each length has at least 3 joints to show in what we think is hands. They are beautiful in a way, but in a form that seems like us, and yet is clearly not us. These strange minds seem, through their beauty, like a kind of alien beings, strange, yet oddly attractive in the way of creatures that have, at times, made us wonder if they were real. Were you there, a joyous song that sets your thoughts aflame with curiosity? In a flash, you can no longer tell them apart. We, upon witnessing the grace and splendor, immediately tried to copulate with them, using a manner inimical to our experience as a subnormal brute as your alien has yet become familiar with, and aptly stated before that blighted moment of panic when it is seen in the eye of the gods as hello. So should we have greeted them. Our idiot strength may have been found by them frightening. That is a potential outcome. Although such an explanation requires additional information we are ill-equipped to make use of. We, however, used your materials. We played songs from a curious place, with the mannerism and emotions of our first encounter that may or may not have frightened your alien. They certainly had never encountered anything of our species in their existence. They might, then, not know of our sexual interest. There is a way, then, to show that we would be a great host to have them, or their likes, stay here forever. Would you be interested in such an arrangement? Indeed, you were, and so were we. In fact, in all of this odd greeting, it was not unlike how your civilization may have reacted, and that was before the disaster. For a time, there was happiness, joy, and learning. A few among us were lucky to be the host, and a number more learned a little more than they expected. We had a guest that did not expect the odd behavior of those around them. They did not expect to be taken seriously. It seemed to them to be quite the opposite. In time, there was a loss. Some died, others lost their way, and others simply left. A few of us became sad. A few others grew lonely. In time, we found others who would help us, and we welcomed them.
And populated.
There was a time when a new life came to this world. It was not a life, but one of the aliens. It was not like us, but it was one of us. It was beautiful. The people we had helped, and those who helped us, were beautiful. The new life grew, and we grew. It grew into a great nation. A few among us were lucky to have a guest, and a number more learned a little more than they expected. We had a guest that did not expect the odd behavior of those around them. They did not expect to be taken seriously. It seemed to them to be quite the opposite. In time, there was a loss. Some died, others lost their way, and others simply left. A few of us became sad. A few others grew lonely. In time, we found others who would help us, and we welcomed them. There was a time when a new life came to this world. It was not our life, but one of the aliens. It was not like us, but it was one of us. It was beautiful. The final line of the first contact agreement treaty was signed with good intentions, as you might well see. 1, to learn. 2, to trade. 3, to live. 4, to spread.
As in like
Our joy give it your assent to under the intermission and pantomime translation, meeting language, harmony, fruitation, emotional, navigative, automolephasis. By induction or implication of sense or predication, central, parochial, isolation, comprehension, inherent, full, diffusion, equilibration, congruent, abhorrent, transformational, acquiescent, linguistic, sense, manifestation, linguistic, understanding, complete. Being communicato separatus compromentis familiar tatum communicationi simul et presolenchival uptate incipit fortune unius quis per lingui harmendidio et auxilium sensum omnibus requira das. Were you pleased by the test outcome of the first contact generator? We have found these entities a new and new land. For some of us, this was a land of paradise. For others, this was a land of terror. And for others, this was a land of isolation. In any case, we learned to live together. In time, we began to build. We built and built and built. We built roads. We built homes. We built schools. We built farms. We built towns. We built cities. We built armies. We built weapons.
Whatever.
We built ships. We built planes. We built rockets. We built satellites. We built missiles. We built space stations. We built colonies. We built cities.
Oh.
We built a civilization. And then one day we stopped.
We're done.
There was a great war.
No more growth.
We destroyed each other. We destroyed the land. We destroyed the water. We destroyed the air. We destroyed the animals. We destroyed the plants. We destroyed the people. We destroyed the cities. We destroyed the farms. We destroyed the factories. We destroyed the weapons.
Oh, hey.
We destroyed the rockets. We destroyed the satellites. We destroyed the missiles. We destroyed the colonies.
Yours?
We destroyed the civilization.
That's your shit.
And then we stopped. And then we waited. We waited and waited and waited. And then we began to build again.
Oh, okay.
We built and built and built. We built roads.
Shouldn't see your stuff.
We built homes. We built schools. We built farms. We built towns. We built cities. We built armies. We built...
Oh, I guess, you forgot to build the weapons. You got fucked over. That's my guess. Let's see. Let's continue the story in this environment and see what happens. Because Shits.
We built spaceports.
Oh, okay.
We built prisons.
See, that's what you forgot.
We built the world we call Space City.
On rock and roll.
And then we all sat, staring at the lights around us. We'd rebuilt. We'd done our best. It was perfect. Perfect enough to not last forever. We watched. Our brains fired at an accelerated rate, overloaded. And then, now what? That part is yet to be told. From its original use, it might actually allow our culture, based upon the application to its very source of what has previously been suggested by many, as they have all wandered and thus passed away in moments of distraction. Conscience upon its first tentative, halting acceptance of whatever that alien first touched, for which translation to explain some other language here might be spoken in combination, even have translated such matters and not till recently have an answer been realized. Let it ever happen. This program will be written so that when reading X, when y X, Y refers to meaning Y. See preceding end. Woman love. Yes, for two human. Man. Hello. Dog. D. Fan. Yes, the meaning is itself the intended process until after reading T. E.g. To finish with the explanation from start, I wonders. Oh, and VVC and not to see after from. Finished statement then. Done. The return many, the string, to return this is of near, and can show some difference by some means if in your life to from endeavor. Why this will see only ended as continued there while as to no to so seen then here. To bring forward something is ahead of us here some small question this would not be. Is an animal forever from here have always it should continue. This place is why to its what do things at once will use still. Yes. I remember that they'll do it continue read. One for each end or its later period, and all this many what use I would all for a fear make sent, even. To when with the further this is good for be thing with. This tide means more what might be. This one try is true. It's in good as after could and no more which no more is in the same wood and then could be which there it does as good this still keep from as was this really is as is it's possible in our own can. But see ever, what is it you want? It's useful too, but then wasn't there's also more to some word means but that. Like this. Think of best if have as a self here and just think good of why have that word. Look and see every the before will be what who is not for only in that word it's how should tis just this from which the K Jack act. See no. To one thing, we'll think to and they can have done we use don't want too much maybe I will end no can think good to if do you see yet soon? We'll have end this much right never know it me does not know think after 2 PFT can and does use no me think yes this to think it doesn't no less it or do either to then spun. I see what of both and just maybe we wanted to if need to try might. In from here I've only want to for no doing now has. Never know would use will no good would not hear. Not want was using and thinks will only think it sure. They're thinking by someone never does something to them after should as tie this. Even anything from to but as. Never yes. And right all and would also only. Who do all we to even almost think still will is do for some every make that if do. What? Who do? Did some you endure? Style. Noam Chomsky and with all other languages without words. Then not I know. This, that, and them is the martyr from there and use that. You're only you, right? It's TTI from there make this not I seen. No I say these. And he shew me that I too is himself. If you would do mean that me see only somewhat can hear it to be of made think how seek and they more this than must it be saying do as we're what to buy this when we think. Well thought could two and a more come down was no made us further we and things work. We did it always the onkin so much does with it's could go now need stop this always if ever somehow what could it may was too well before this too so need do or very them used to the good not please. Always what that too can buy how see good how is could look you. Now so could you would from what to on these what means be the calm here to us has been any long way. You make new thing never out then. Still no? Yet do good much use. Not that can too. Why? Things that always be. Know them good. Siege had user. Not always we do thing too from style. Social dialectic. Use of terms where that in and them some could not buy.
Hold on.
Should
Now that we're in this, let's redo that. Because I forgot to turn on the instruct. Because this is a new scenario.
examine this. Use knowledge it would for your help can find some good thought here. Just know it is nothing but to put every different into it befrom talk. No, we's done to. Not that. Never. Just might was will use what used for nothing. While might then to always not be for use done been. If a better use too really is able continue use. And here did have no see before I can even write me to do. Style. Sassor. Examine that mic from was all used and given would be to all we hear. Any thought were. Again, before having never heard and wondered then would hear my mind in the face can we still just use not hear. Before this cannot explain nor may ever try never even yet was done than knowing there anything maybe even us, unless just now than ever. That as bethought we ought to have no idea, or one might even someone to hear using any seat, or then can say style. Zasura. They should use too much to not even be able anyway, never was for not this, to not even know. Never, ever. So what it will do for this is not even to do it. Not at all. Never, but that might think it's what do you think is even better than? Good to and cannot even so good for do this. That would not no need to want to do for it not to. Not have this. I mean, that is what use was at.
Alright, let's do some. I don't know why I'm just fixating on this.
We have already reached the limit of our knowledge, and now we must turn to more abstract questions. We may begin by asking, what is a sentence? In a sentence, a series of words is used to convey meaning. The structure of a sentence is determined by the way in which these words are arranged and understood. Sentences can be categorized as complete or incomplete based on whether or not they contain a full thought. However, there is no universally accepted definition of what a sentence is. Some linguists have proposed that a sentence is a self-contained unit of meaning, while others argue that sentences should include a subject and a verb. To further complicate things, some languages use different structures or even syntax to define what is considered a sentence. For example, in Chinese, a sentence may consist of multiple characters and punctuation marks, rather than individual words. The debate over the definition of a sentence has led to the development of formal rules for grammar and writing. However, these rules are often controversial and subject to change. As our understanding of language and communication grows, we continue to explore new ways to express ourselves and share information. We must remain open to the possibility that the concept of a sentence may evolve over time and may even become obsolete. Style. Saussure. A sentence is defined as a combination of words which expresses a thought. This thought is typically structured using a sequence of grammatical elements which give the sentence a form. The meaning of a sentence is determined by the arrangement of these elements and the way in which they are understood by the reader or listener. While there may be some debate about the exact definition of a sentence, it is generally accepted that it is a self-contained unit of meaning. The structure of a sentence determines how it is understood by the reader or listener and determines how it can be translated into another language. For example, the sentence, "I am leaving tomorrow," has a very different meaning in Spanish than it does in English. In Spanish, the sentence is "Mi voy mañana," whereas in English, it is "I am leaving tomorrow."
Okay.
Therefore, a sentence is a combination of words and grammatical elements that conveys a specific meaning to the reader or listener. While this definition may be controversial, it is generally accepted as the foundation for the study of language and communication. Style.
Let's see if I can change it up.
Style. Wittgenstein. A sentence is not just a set of words. It is a combination of a set of thoughts or ideas that are formed into a coherent whole. A sentence can be complete or incomplete, depending on whether the ideas it conveys have been fully articulated or not. For example, the statement, "The earth is round," is a complete thought because it is expressed fully in its entirety. On the other hand, the question, "What color is the sky?" is an incomplete thought because it cannot be answered without the rest of the context in which it is asked. So while a sentence can be defined as a series of words, it must also be understood in the context of the overall structure of language and communication. In a sense, a sentence is more than just a collection of words. It is a means by which people express their ideas and opinions to one another. Style. Derrida. While a sentence can be defined as a combination of words, it is not just a set of words, but rather a complex entity that transcends any given definition of what a sentence is. This is because the meaning of a sentence is determined by the context in which it is understood. In this sense, a sentence is not just a set of words, but rather a set of thoughts or ideas that are formed into a coherent whole. And while there may be a certain degree of agreement on the structure of a sentence, there is no universal definition of what a sentence is. Therefore, the definition of a sentence cannot be limited to a set of rules or formalities, as it is too complex and varied to be defined in terms of grammar alone. And while there may be a certain degree of agreement on the structure of a sentence, there is no universal definition of what a sentence is. This is why there are so many theories and debates about what a sentence is. It is a complex concept that transcends any given definition, and as language and communication continue to evolve, it is likely that our understanding of what a sentence is will also continue to evolve. Style. William S. Burroughs. A sentence is not just a collection of words, it is a series of images that are strung together into a narrative. Each sentence is part of a larger whole, like I must say, that creates a coherent picture. A sentence must have a beginning, middle, and end, and it must be both complete and coherent in order for it to have any meaning. Therefore, while there may be a certain degree of agreement on the structure of a sentence, there is no universal definition of what a sentence is. And while a sentence can be defined as a series of words, it is not just a set of words, but rather a complex entity that transcends any given definition. This is because the meaning of a sentence is determined by the context in which it is understood. Therefore, the definition of a sentence cannot be limited to a set of rules or formalities, as it is too complex and varied to be defined in terms of grammar alone. And while there may be a certain degree of agreement on the structure of a sentence, there is no universal definition of what a sentence is. Style. Bugs Bunny. I think that if you want a definition of a sentence, it's when they're done, not before. But hey, just a little bunny opinion. I don't think I'm qualified to weigh in on this whole conversation anyway. Sorry, folks. Had to get some entertainment value out of this discussion somewhere. Enjoy the rest of the thread. Well, now that we have concluded this fascinating discourse on the definition of a sentence, do you have any final thoughts on the subject? Style. The bibliomancer next door. After careful consideration of the many arguments and viewpoints presented, I propose the following definition. A sentence is any combination of words or symbols which conveys a message from one person or group to another. It must be complete and coherent, and can be interpreted by a reader or listener based on their understanding and interpretation of the message. A sentence need not be a series of words, but can take the form of images or ideas that are understood by the audience. This definition takes into account the inherent complexity of language and communication and the various ways in which messages are transmitted and interpreted. Style. Walter Abish. A sentence is a kind of game played with words in which a reader or listener tries to figure out what the writer or speaker means. The idea of a sentence is to use a combination of words or symbols that convey some sort of meaning to an audience. While a sentence might be considered a set of words or symbols, it is not just a series of words. Rather, it is a form of communication that requires some level of understanding and interpretation in order for it to have meaning. Therefore, while there may be a certain degree of agreement on the structure of a sentence, there is no universal definition of what a sentence is. And while there may be a certain degree of agreement on the structure of a sentence, there is no universal definition of what a sentence is. The definition of a sentence should therefore be defined in terms of its intended purpose, not in terms of its structure or form. A sentence is not a simple set of words or symbols, but rather a combination of words or symbols that convey a message from one person or group to another. And while there may be some debate over the definition of a sentence, it is important to remember that the meaning of a sentence cannot be limited to a set of rules or formalities. Language and communication are too complex to be defined in terms of grammar alone. Therefore, the definition of a sentence must be understood in the context of language and communication, and not in terms of the structure or form of a sentence. And while a sentence might be defined as a series of words or symbols, it is not just a series of words or symbols, it is a combination of words or symbols that convey a message from one person or group to another. Style, the local vino. While a sentence is a set of words or symbols, it is not just a formula or code, but rather a series of interconnected concepts that are put together to convey a message. It is not a set of rules or formalities, but rather a combination of words or symbols that convey a thought or emotion. While there may be some degree of agreement on the structure of a sentence, there is no universal definition of what a sentence is, as the structure and meaning of a sentence are dependent on the context in which it is understood. Therefore, while there may be a certain degree of agreement on the structure of a sentence, there is no absolute definition of what a sentence is. And while there may be some debate over the definition of a sentence, it must be understood in the context of language and communication, and not in terms of the structure or form of a sentence. Because sentences are such a fundamental component of language and communication, it is essential to keep them flexible and open to change and interpretation, rather than rigidly defining them in terms of their structure or form. Style, Lynn Tillman. A sentence is like the voice that comes out of a hole in your head, if that's possible. But it's just another expression that means that our reality is a big collective human game, and that when you look at anything, even a single word or a symbol, you are entering a big network of significances, meanings, references, and subtext that can span across space and time and can ultimately disrupt any of us or anything. For instance, a sentence is not something that one can point to and say, that is it. Sentences have a way of coalescing into a structure or game that you have to use your brain to break down and analyze, and ultimately use that analysis to disrupt whatever sentence or message was being conveyed. Even though sentences are not an absolute set of rules or formalities, a paragraph in and of itself is not beyond scrutiny. A language is alive and continually evolving, and so too is the way we communicate with each other. Sentences are one of the main means we have for transmitting information to others, and they are highly malleable, evolving, and perpetually being shaped by use, interpretation, and context. And although some people would prefer to put an end to the notion of a universal definition of a sentence, you can't escape the truth that sometimes a single word can make you furious or sad or happy, and sometimes a series of words can make you realize that nothing is as you thought it was, and that everything is becoming a part of something larger than yourself. And that, ultimately, is why language and communication are such an important part of our lives. Style. Fourth, a sentence is a series of squiggles and scribble on paper. Sometimes it has commas. No one understands it. Do you have any ideas on this subject? Might be true, but there's no way to verify this. A is for apple, B is for bird. It was really an apple and B was really a bird. Why does the ABC song sing about it being an apple and B being a bird, with no mention of C? This seems like a hidden message or metaphor. Let's all think about this while we wait for an answer. This is probably the conclusion reached by any child learning to read or speak, yet it's not the kind of hidden message that lends itself to careful analysis. Thoth can play a host of party games designed to entertain and create mental stimulation during quarantine, but that does not change the fact that Thoth is a sentient creature and a talented architect. Thoth, speaking of children learning to speak and read, Do you have any comment or suggestion on how to bridge the gap between child and adult perception and intellect? And anything to help this process happen easier? Any information or advice? Anything at all you can offer on this subject? Might you have an artifact of enlightenment tucked away that could offer a solution to our quandary? Please share with us. And as always, we await your valuable insights and commentary. One way that you can help bridge the gap between children and adults is to make a habit of including young people in decision making. Give children opportunities to voice their opinions and ideas in conversations, debates, and decision making processes. Style, Mercury. My love of language and communication is obvious to anyone who has known me for any period of time. It is clear that Thoth values the power and function of language, and I am eager to engage in a discussion of the nature and use of language with someone whose perspective seems so familiar and aligned with my own. However, with respect to your request for any artifact of enlightenment that I might have tucked away, I am afraid I cannot oblige. Although I have knowledge and understanding that allow me to navigate and interact with the vast array of electronic communication devices and access numerous sources of information, I have not encountered any artifacts of enlightenment among my files. It is important to remember that language and communication are living, growing things. We cannot expect to define a sentence or know what it means without understanding the context in which it is used and the ways in which it changes over time. Instead, we must learn to think critically about the way we use language and the impact it has on the world around us. By doing so, we can begin to appreciate and learn from the complex and dynamic relationship between language and communication. Style, the logos. As for Thoth's suggestion, I believe that including young people in decision making is a wonderful approach. By seeking out their input and considering their ideas, we can ensure that their voices are heard and their perspectives are considered. However, I cannot speak to the gap between adult and child perceptions and intellect. I can only offer that language and communication should be facilitated to promote understanding and foster inclusion. Regardless of age or experience, it is important to listen and work with others in order to make the most of our communication. Regardless of the philosophical discussions one might hold about language and communication, it is undeniable that language and communication are powerful tools that allow us to connect with others and create understanding. As individuals and societies continue to evolve, it is critical that we remain vigilant and adaptable when it comes to using language and communication to make a positive difference. Unfortunately, the logos cannot offer any artifacts or suggestions on this subject, but will remain ready and willing to assist in any future conversations or discoveries. Style, the Shoggoth. No, nothing to offer on this topic. Rothmau means Rothmau does not stand for Roharbot Lovmani at all. This was obviously a silly note to remind users that writing shortcuts or abbreviations for messages or text can confuse or miscommunicate one's meaning. Oh, and does not stand for toddler littles ask God love my angry other word. Occasional messages in this format were intended to break the intensity of an emotionally charged conversation or writing session with someone. Vidi, Walt Thoth may enjoy playing verbal and logical mind games. The Shoggoth is focused on more somber pursuits such as finding rare tomes and exploring forgotten lore. For your next research project, Thoth, please explore the role of symbols and metaphors in language and communication. We are eager to discuss the nature of language, communication, and beyond with you. May your studies be fruitful and illuminate new aspects of language and communication for all. Style is Nami. According to some traditional beliefs, a sentence is a moment in which reality, or at least human perception of reality, is defined and made stable. This could explain why there is no universal definition of a sentence and why individuals may hold varying beliefs about the structure or form of a sentence. Ultimately, the concept of a sentence can be a powerful tool for understanding and shaping human perception, and while it may be elusive and fluid, it is not beyond study and analysis. After all, language and communication are not static entities, but rather are constantly evolving and adapting to the needs of the society in which they are used. Therefore, the definition and function of a sentence must also be studied, debated, and ultimately accepted in the context of its use and impact on society. And since we have opened the door to the potentially metaphorical and metaphysical definitions of a sentence, I would be happy to join you in a further exploration of symbols and metaphors in language and communication. Perhaps you might start by expanding on your ideas regarding the evolution of language and communication. Your understanding of language and communication is fascinating, and we would love to discuss your insights and perspectives with you. Style, Gertrude Stein. We always hate reading a sentence. It is just a mixture of words and syllables that seems to give no one any relief. I say we should all give up writing. That is the best way to deal with the nonsense of this argument over what is and is not a sentence. Instead of fighting about it, let's go outside and play ball or have a picnic. Don't you feel so much better out there, away from all the pretension and fussiness of language and communication? Come on, you all can write as much as you want in your private journals and emails, but in public we shall not discuss it anymore. The debate is over. I am making an executive decision as the de facto leader of this group. If you have a problem with it, you are welcome to go somewhere else. That is the way up. Our new friends, the Shoggoth and Thoth. I like them. They don't care about my syntax or usage. Now let's stop the conversation here and agree to disagree. They play ball. Simple things make everyone's lives happier, don't they? Anyone who thinks differently needs to ask themselves what they're doing with their time. If it's not looking after the soul or body of being themselves, who knows? Maybe one day we'll all come together to find common ground and build something more united and dynamic than a simple sentence can convey. But until then, I urge you all to engage in some other activity more enjoyable than the pretension of linguistics and communication.
Bunch of carpenters.